I'm going to talk to you today about scones, because a really great scone is really hard to find. I mean, most scones that you get are like bricks, really, and a really good scone, what makes a good scone, is it's got to be light and fluffy on the inside and crispy on the outside, and it's that contrast of texture that makes a truly great scone. And you can't achieve this with just knowing the recipe. It's technique that's really important. Now, the first thing is the choice of flour, with self-raising flour versus adding your own raising agent. Raising agents actually sink to the bottom of the bag over time. And so unless you're redistributing the flour in the entire bag, you're not going to get a particularly good result. So you're much better off to use plain flour and add your own raising agent. Now, the next thing is the butter. And you actually want little chunks of butter in with your flour, and it's those chunks that make air pockets that help the scone be light and soft on the inside. And the way to actually do this is to use cold butter directly from the fridge and grate it in. And then don't mix it with your hands, you have to work it really lightly. So you actually use 2 knives to cut the butter into coarse chunks. A really important part is the milk. Now, you want to add, if you don't add enough milk, it's going to be too dry. And if you add too much milk, it's not going to rise into a scone, and it will just form a puddle. So the amount of milk that you want has got to be really moist, beyond tacky. It's got to be really quite wet, and you don't want to overwork it either. So you want to just fold that milk in very gently, trying to keep the air in just enough so that there's no dry bits of flour. Definitely do not knead it, work it, get it out and use a rolling pin and cut shapes in it. When you do that, what you're actually forming is gluten plates. And that's what makes a brick rather than a light fluffy scone. So you're trying to keep as much air in it as possible, touch it as little as possible. Yeah, have it a really quite wet mixture that will just form a tower. Placement on the tray, you want to actually stack it into a tower. Keep it as tall as you possibly can, because it's really quite moist. And if you don't do that, it'll just form a little flat puddle. So you need at least 2 centimetre gap around them. It's going to look rustic on the outside. It'll look all knobbly. And that doesn't matter, because you actually want that. That's going to help make the crispy, lumpy bits. So you're making a rustic scone. Or the last thing is, never reheat it in a microwave. That will completely destroy the crispy outside. It just totally loses all the contrast. The scones are going to be at their best 10 minutes after coming out of the oven. So make your batch of scones small enough that you're actually going to eat them all and not have any left over. Or if you just don't reheat it. Okay. Right, so I'm making quite a small batch here. I'm just going to do 4 scones. So I'm using 200 grams of flour. So we'll just weigh that. 2.5 teaspoons of baking powder. Eighth of a teaspoon of salt. Pinch cayenne pepper. It's up to you how much cayenne you put in, but you want to be, don't go too crazy on it. And now we need to mix all that. Oh, no, he's gone wrong already. I want to sieve that. Okay, I'm going to sieve my flour, raising agent together. And you usually get some lumps, so let's crush those. Much better. And make sure that is well mixed. Okay. Now, most people will use parsley for a herb. I like to use rocket. It's peppery, kind of nutty. It's just really nice. So, highly recommend that. Okay, now 60 grams of grated cold butter. $40 grams, sorry. Whoa. Better. Yeah, sorry, that was 40 grams of grated cold butter. Now to mix that in together, I just use a couple of knives, which I have here. So we're trying to get that coarse texture. It's looking pretty good. I put in our 60 grams of cheese. And again, we'll just cut that in. Now I'm going to measure 160 mils of milk. 168, that's a bit more. And go add that. Now you're just going to try and fold this in fairly gently so that there's no dry bits. And we're going to add more milk. And that is about it. I don't want to do any more mixing than that. So it looks really tacky. In fact, it's even a bit more. Okay. Oop. Okay, so now I'm going to measure these 110 gram balls. It's 90, 100, 110 roughly. We're going to put that as a vertical stack, just like that. Good. That's out for scones. So top these with cheese, extra cheese. Okay, and then bung them in the oven. 180 for 24 minutes. Okay, the results are in. Here you have a crispy on the outside scone. We'll cut into it. You can see it's very soft and fluffy inside. That's beautiful. Pop some butter on it. And that's going to be a truly great scone. Okay, well there you have it. How to make excellent scones. Enjoy! A great alternative to cheese scones is lavender scones. You replace the cheese with 1 tablespoon of sugar and 1.5 teaspoons of dried culinary lavender buds. Whip 125 ml of cream with half a teaspoon of vanilla bean paste, top with damson jam and cream. Beautiful.